If you have spent the last 2 years researching business ideas and bouncing between 3 different plans, you're probably still waiting for the perfect idea. But the problem isn't that the right idea is still out there, it's that you're still looking for it. I spent years stuck in that cycle, reading every book, taking every course, researching business after business, all while billing 60 hours a week as a lawyer. And it wasn't until I stopped searching and committed to building the wrong business that everything changed. So in this video, I'll show you how to pick a business you can start this week, even if you have 10 interests and 0 clarity, so you can stop exploring possibilities while getting nowhere and start building skills that can compound into the business you actually want. Most beginner business advice tells you to pick something you love or something you're already good at. And in some cases, what you love and what you're good at is the same thing. But you can also love 10 different things, and many of them keep changing every few months. But if you keep getting new ideas but never explore them, or you're at the stage where a few of them have their own Instagram pages with 5 posts each, and then die within the first month, you need a different approach. So my first tip is to not only start with something you like doing and you're already good at, but also to think about what you can see yourself sticking with. Not only will you be further ahead, which will help you create a much better business, but you're also less likely to build something that doesn't work. The next thing to consider is if there is demand in the space you're thinking about. Are people actually paying for help in this area? To get clear enough on this, you should spend a few hours, not weeks, researching how other people are making money in this space. Think about if you would want to do similar things and what you would need to learn. This breaks down their businesses into actionable tasks that you can spread out across your week. And as you're doing this research, you're probably watching several pages and content pieces from those businesses, which means that they are creating content in one form or another. So that could be a good place for you to start as well. You can change a lot of things as you go, but if you go between wildly different areas or niches when it comes to your business, or you never niche down and try to be everything for everyone, or never commit at all because it feels scary, you end up locking yourself out of options. Think about Amazon, which started as a bookstore. They picked one category and stayed there long enough to dominate it before branching into other areas. They didn't try to sell everything from day one. So, once you have picked your space, the next question is, who are you trying to help? And this should be more specific than whoever shows interest or anyone. You need to think about who your ideal client is and cater everything you do to that person. And this requires a lot of specificity, but I highly recommend using an AI tool like Claude and ask what it needs to know from you to help you figure this out. Because trying to be everything to everyone is a great way to end up converting no one. And I wasted years refusing to narrow myself down because I didn't want to limit myself. And I have seen a lot of other people get this backwards too, and miss out on a lot of clients on the way. Think about when you're buying a cake for someone's birthday. Will you go to the supermarket that sells everything, or will you go to a bakery that specializes in making beautiful custom-made cakes that will make people go wow at that party? I would definitely go with the bakery. But don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean that you have to say no to everyone who isn't your ideal customer. But everything you create should be specialized enough to help a very specific person. And if you want help with thinking through all of this based on your skills, your situation and interests, you can book a call with me below and we will narrow it down together. You'll find the link in the description. When I started, I built my first business around content creation because I really liked photography. And as I studied other businesses, I noticed that content is what they all had in common. So I thought that if I got good at that, I would have nothing to lose. When it comes to niche and ways of making money, I explored a lot of different options, but what I kept selling throughout was content and digital products. And I stuck with that for 4 to 5 years before I decided to take the skills I'd built into a completely different direction, which is this channel and everything that comes with it. If I had decided to try to build an app or software or ventured into an industry I knew nothing about, I would probably still be stuck. I would be years behind those who are already good at it, and I don't have the skills or budget to build a team who can do it for me. And even if these things are easier now with AI and tools like Claude Code, over the years I have learned that nothing is as easy as it looks. If it was, everyone would be doing it, which means that it's no longer an opportunity. So look at your list of ideas and cross off everything that requires you to start from zero, or that you're good at but don't like doing a lot of without getting paid. Then spend a few hours evaluating the rest and take notes of what you come up with. And even if the business you pick turns out to be the wrong one, you will have moved further in 6 months than if you had never started. So start with what you enjoy, what you're already good at, and where other people are already paying for help. Get directionally right about the space and your ideal client. And once you have that, there is no more room for exploration. It is time to get consistent. What we'll do next is filter these ideas through your day-to-day reality. When you're working a full-time job and maintaining your life, you have very little time. And that's probably part of why you're considering your own business in the first place. But you need to consider your technical constraints before you commit to anything. This comes down to the hours you have available and what your employment contract allows for. If you're starting your business in a different area than what you do for work, this is less likely to be a problem. But some companies really don't want you to make money elsewhere. And if you want to learn more about this, I have a separate video so you can filter your business idea through your employment contract in detail. So, once you know what you like, what you're already good at, what people pay for, and what you can realistically do, you can figure out your day-to-day tasks. For most people in a corporate job, it comes down to 2 daily actions that we'll get to in a moment. But first, I want to mention physical products briefly, because before giving it serious consideration, it is good to understand that physical products come with additional challenges like inventory, logistics, and higher capital requirements, especially if you're not already skilled in the space you're considering. And regardless of product, you still need to be good at content to sell it. So I would devote just as much time to creating content around the product as developing the actual product. But for a lot of beginner business owners, physical products come later in the journey. But you're probably seeing a pattern here, and it's that regardless of the business, learning how to create content is useful. The main advantage is that it keeps putting your business in front of the right people, even when you're sleeping. You also get close to your competition and naturally study what others are doing. Another path is direct outreach, meaning talking to people one-on-one. And in many cases, this is more effective if you're already doing content and can refer to that as you reach out to potential clients. One daily action could be to ensure that you're reaching out to a few people each week to discuss their problems and figure out how you can help. This tends to work fastest when you can leverage your existing work skills and network as well. But that can also mean that you're competing with your employer, so consider your limitations carefully before starting. This is exactly the choice I had to make when I started my first business, because I was working full-time as a lawyer, and my employment contract had restrictions on how I could use my professional skills outside of work. This is why I went into content around completely different areas than what I was working in. And when I eventually quit and started working with content full-time, that opened up new directions and services that I couldn't have done while still employed. So even if I ended up changing fields, I barely changed my daily actions. That is the power of getting into the habit of creating content and sticking with it. So for this week, I want you to first see what others are doing in the fields that are possible given your constraints. And second, break it down into tasks. Get help from Claude or ChatGPT with this, and pick one daily or weekly action to start. Even if it goes nowhere, you will learn a ton in the process, and it might take you to an even better idea. But you should be prepared to give it at least 6 months before changing the base layer, which is what you do and who you do it for. And you should keep reminding yourself of why you're doing this so that you stay motivated in the evenings when you're putting in a lot of time and effort without getting paid. Think of the upside and the possibilities and how much value you can provide to others, while also owning how you make money and spend your time. And as someone who has pivoted my first business into something new, I want to emphasize that there is no harm in picking the wrong thing, and you're not wasting your time. You will learn a ton in the process, and it will take you closer to a better business that's more aligned with your priorities. But you need to be willing to bet on yourself to get there. Because the alternative is that you stay stuck and never learn what it takes to build the right business. And most people who build successful businesses have several failed ones behind them. YouTube started as a video dating site, but the founders couldn't get people to use it. So they ended up opening the site to everyone, and look at where it is today. But as a video dating site, YouTube taught the founders how to handle video at scale, what users wanted, and where demand actually was. They would not have gotten there without failing with the dating site first. So, when you are picking your first business, don't think of it as the business of your lifetime, because putting that pressure on what you choose is a great way to never choose. Think of it as picking an entry point for where you are right now in your life. And as you build, your situation will change. Skills compound, networks expand, and your time, energy, and priorities may shift. And if the business isn't able to change with you, starting over may be a better choice. But some businesses are more versatile than others, and it's always better to pick something that can evolve naturally with you instead of starting over, and to focus on learning the core skills of running a business regardless of what it does and for who. And if you want help thinking through your ideas to avoid locking yourself into this problem, you can book a call with me below. You'll find the link in the description. In many cases, the skills you need are marketing, content, sales, and running the actual operation. These are the skills that compound regardless of what business you choose, and focusing your daily actions there will save you years. So you get clarity by starting, learning, and narrowing as you go. The worst thing you can do is wait, because it keeps you stuck. And there is no harm in starting, because the worst thing that can happen is that you learn new things. The best case scenario is that you end up with a business that can provide value to others while also giving you more time and financial freedom. And if you want to learn more about picking the right business that grows with you and how you can leverage AI to get going, watch this video next.